This is Focus on Africa from BBC World News. I'm Sophie Ikenye. Our top stories. It's the world's worst ever measles outbreak, claiming 6,000 lives in the Democratic Republic of Congo over the last year alone.
Today we are giving measles vaccine because a lot of children here have been sick with the disease.
Destruction in Somalia's capital Mogadishu after another Al-Shabaab attack leaves at least 3 people dead.
Today's attack will raise tensions even furthermore in this already fragile region.
Also in the program, it's 10 years since gunmen attacked a bus carrying Togo's football team. We hear from one player whose life was never the same again.
I heard a machine gun. When I tried to move, it was as if I was nailed to the seat.
And in sports, we hear from fans in Senegal after Liverpool striker Sadio Mane was crowned African Footballer of the Year. Thanks for joining us on Focus on Africa from BBC World News. The world's largest and fastest moving outbreak of measles has killed at least 6,000 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo in the last year. That's more than twice the number of people killed by Ebola, which has attracted far more global attention. The World Health Organization says an extra $40 million of emergency funding is now needed to stop more people dying. Rhoda Odhiambo has more.
The speed with which this epidemic has taken hold is alarming. Efforts to control it have been hampered by poor infrastructure, attacks on health centers, and the lack of access to routine healthcare. All 26 provinces in the country have reported cases of measles since the outbreak was declared in June last year. The WHO is now asking countries to help the DRC in controlling the spread of the disease that has killed more people than Ebola. They have intensified their campaign to get children vaccinated. Parents and guardians are responding and taking the children to clinics. One of them is Justin Safari.
I heard that measles is killing children, and that is why I brought my 6 children to be vaccinated.
Since the beginning of 2019, around 310,000 suspected measles cases have been reported in the country. Measles vaccination across the DRC varies, but this epidemic was made worse by the difficulty in reaching vulnerable communities, malnutrition, weak public health systems, and insecurity that has hampered response in some areas.
Today we are giving measles vaccine because a lot of children here have been sick with the disease. Those who came in sick are treated for free. We get about 3 to 5 children who have contracted measles every day. We have the medicines to treat them.
So far, $27.6 million has been mobilized, but WHO says a further $40 million is required for a 6-month plan to extend the vaccination to children between 6 and 14 years. They also want to strengthen awareness programs and improve the health system. The problem in the Democratic Republic of Congo, it's incredibly hard to reach everyone. Rhoda Odhiambo, BBC News.
Well, for more on the situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo, I'm joined from Kinshasa by Dr. Vincent Sojinu. He is the World Health Organization's Incident Manager for measles in the country. Thanks for taking time to talk to us on the program. It appears from what we've heard, the drugs are available. So what really specifically is the problem?
The specific problem is the weaknesses of the health system. These weaknesses is due also to the protracted humanitarian crisis faced by the country since some years, and this does not allow the proper implementation of intervention, including vaccination of children.
So we've seen some interesting moves by other countries when it comes to dealing with measles and allowing families, children to get vaccinated. For example, the Pacific nation of Samoa hanging red flags outside their homes to help medical teams find them. Are there any specific things that health workers like yourself are doing?
Yes. We are also improving the community engagement, and this is one of the innovations that will be implemented by the new work plan validated by the Minister of Health yesterday. We will try to empower communities on how to handle at household the cases, how to bring quickly children to health facility to receive adequate care, and then prevent their death.
What are the good examples, or a good example of a country that's maintained their their measles elimination status? What are they doing?
We know all things that need to be done to eliminate measles. It is empower and strengthen routine immunization, organize proper follow-up campaign each 5 to 6 years in each country, and also fight malnutrition and strengthen health system. And in DRC, we have some issues that I already highlight that does not really allow the country to properly implement the activities. Also, we have a lot of hard-to-reach area with huge logistical needs to assess them. But we are working with the government to strengthen the health system, and with the new plan will also be one key element on this way.
At what point do you think, given the numbers we've talked about, over 6,000, at what point do you think the DRC should declare this an emergency?
The situation is already an emergency. The minister in June, WHO has elevated this outbreak as grade 3, as grade 2 of the emergency response framework, and put in place an incident system, an incident management system. So the situation is already an emergency, but probably that WHO leaders will take action in the coming day to discuss on the situation, and then they will decide if there is need to elevate again the grade or not.
All right, Dr. Vincent Sojunu, thank you very much indeed for taking time to talk to us on the program. And apologies for that crackly line there from Kinshasa. Now, Al-Shabaab has claimed responsibility for an attack in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, this morning. At least 3 people are confirmed dead and 11 others been wounded. The attack is the latest in an intensified campaign over the past 2 weeks in Somalia and neighboring Kenya. Bella Shigo sent this report from Mogadishu.
Smoke rises above Mogadishu after a car loaded with bombs exploded at a checkpoint during rush hour this morning. Ambulances raced to the busy junction and were met by scenes of devastation. Islamist militant group Al-Shabaab is claiming responsibility for the attack. They say it was meant to target senior government officials.
Today, at around 9 in the morning, this checkpoint where the presidential palace is being protected was attacked by a car with full of explosives. It was rush hour and all people were rushing to work. 3 people were killed and 6 others injured and were rushed to the hospitals.
Today's attack will raise tensions even furthermore in this already fragile region. There will be security implications not just here in Somalia but across the border in Kenya. The U.S. deployed more forces to Lamu County in Kenya following a series of attacks, including one on a military base that killed 3 Americans. The Somali state television says airstrikes in response carried out killed more than 40 Al-Shabaab militants in the south of the country. This is the latest attack in a city still reeling from another car bomb that killed 90 people just 11 days ago. Those who live in Mogadishu are in mourning, but they are also angry at the authorities for failing to protect them. And in an unusual open show of defiance, taken to the streets in recent days to protest the militants who carry out these assaults. Bella Shego, BBC News, Mogadishu.
Let's now take a quick look at other stories making headlines across Africa and the rest of the world. In the last hour, US President Donald Trump has addressed the crisis with Iran, saying the Middle East nation appears to be standing down after the US killing of General Qasem Soleimani. Earlier, Iran carried out ballistic missile attacks on air bases housing US forces in Iraq.
Our great American forces are prepared for anything. Iran appears to be standing down, which is a good thing for all parties concerned and a very good thing for the world.
The government of President Yoweri Museveni has released 9 Rwandan nationals who were on trial in Uganda, accused of kidnapping and illegal possession of firearms. They are to be deported. Now, the dropping of the charges is widely seen as easing some of the tension between the two countries. Relations between them have been strained for over a year. The body of a child has been found at a Paris Charles de Gaulle airport in the undercarriage of a plane arriving from Abidjan in Ivory Coast. Air France confirmed the lifeless body was found in the landing gear compartment of one of its aircraft. Now, the internet has been shut down in several towns in western Ethiopia since Monday. In some areas, mobile call services are also not working. The state-run and only service provider in the country, Ethio Telecom, has not explained the cause of the shutdown. It's unclear if it's related to a surge in violence in the past 2 years. Now, 10 years ago, the life of Togo footballer Kojovi Obilale was turned upside down. On this day, in January 2010, the then 25-year-old was traveling on a bus to the Africa Cup of Nations in Angola when a rebel group opened fire on the convoy. He was shot twice in the back in an attack which resulted in 2 deaths. Angolan police made a number of arrests and 2 people were convicted in connection with the attack. BBC Sport Africa's Victoire Eyum reports.
Just get your reaction to a story that's been breaking. Shooting at the Africa Cup of Nations at the Togo team bus. Now, there have been a number of reported injuries. These are reports.
Togo's football team had just driven into Angola to contest the Africa Cup of Nations tournament. Minutes later, 2 members of the delegation were shot dead. Assistant coach Abalo Amelete and press attaché Stanislas Oklo.
Moi, j'ai attendu un bruit de mitraillette.
I heard a machine gun. When I tried to move, it was as if I was nailed to the seat.
Cloué sur le siège, je comprenais pas.
I didn't understand it, but then I saw myself, both my stomach and back were bleeding.
During the attack, Togo's reserve goalkeeper Kojovi Obilale was shot twice.
I said, I've been hit, help me. I want to see my children. I don't want to die here. I cry out like that without stopping.
The attack, which was claimed by a rebel group called FLEC, took place in the northern Angolan enclave of Cabinda, an oil-rich area which the separatists want to be independent.
Why did CAF organize the Nations Cup in Angola when the country had just had 3 decades of civil war?
The attack ended his career and almost his life. Still regularly taking painkillers, the 35-year-old still struggles with the fact that cost-cutting by the Togo FA meant the delegation traveled through a disputed area by bus and not by plane. Obilale is also critical of African football's ruling body, CAF. Although his hospital costs were met by Angola, Togo handled his repatriation, and France, where he lives, much of his ongoing treatment. He says CAF has never paid him any money. We contacted CAF for comment, but have yet to hear back. After 8 different operations, Obilale has left the wheelchair to which he was confined for over a year and made the most out of her life without football.
J'ai fait beaucoup de choses et je suis content.
I've done a lot of things since the attack. I went back to studying, passed some exams, worked for 5 years, wrote a book, and today I'm working on some other projects. I'm happy to have done all this.
Franchement, je suis content d'avoir fait tout ça.
This is Focus on Africa from BBC World News. Still to come, could this 13-year-old be the next big thing in world golf? Find out why she thinks she can. I'm Sophie Ikenye, and you're watching Focus on Africa from BBC World News. The top stories on this program: the world's largest and fastest moving outbreak of measles has killed at least 6,000 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo in the last year. Al-Shabaab has claimed responsibility for an attack in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, which killed at least 3 people and wounded 11 others. It's the latest in a series of attacks in the region. Now, the United States has imposed sanctions on South Sudan's first Vice President Taban Deng Gai, citing his involvement in serious human rights abuses. It's one of the sharpest actions taken by the U.S. against South Sudan in a bid to pressure the country's politicians to form a unity government. For more on this, I'm joined by the BBC's Newsroom's Africa editor, Will Ross. Will, what is he being accused of specifically?
So, as you say, serious human rights abuses, undermining the peace agreement that's been going on and that they've been trying to work on. But specifically, they point to the murder of 2 individuals, a human rights lawyer, Samuel Dong Luak, and the opposition member, Agre Idri. And they were abducted from the streets of Nairobi a couple of years ago. And according to UN experts, they were likely to have then been murdered within days of being abducted from the streets of Nairobi. Now, the US Treasury Department is accusing Taban Deng Gai of basically orchestrating those murders.
What does this mean now for the peace process in South Sudan? Because this is quite a sharp reaction by the United States.
It is, and generally the international community at large has been increasingly worried about the pace of progress with the whole peace process in South Sudan. It's been very slow, lots of delays. This is really the most serious kind of move from the US, certainly, which was very important in the implementation of the peace deal. But we understand from Mr. Deng's office, or at least from his press secretary, that he's saying these are unfortunate and misplaced, these accusations. But the press secretary has also said he's willing to step aside and make way for the opposition leader, Riek Machar. And people might remember there were 4 vice presidents put in place, one of them being Riek Machar. So it looks as though Mr. Deng has stepped aside. Of course, these are financial penalties that have been put on him, so trying to make it difficult for him to move wealth around the world, and America's appealing on other countries to stop his money from being able to be moved around. But I think certainly it's going to put more pressure on all sides amongst the politicians to get a move on with the peace deal and form the unity government, because we're halfway through now, more than 50 days through the latest extension to the peace deal, and we still seem to be quite a long way away from the president and the former rebel leader actually forming that unity government and bringing the army and the former rebels together in one army.
All right, Will Ross, thank you for that update on that developing story. Thank you. You're watching BBC Focus on Africa. Let's find out what's happening in the world of sport. Peter.
Many thanks, Sophie. And reactions continue to trail Senegal and Liverpool striker Sadio Mane being named as the CAF African Footballer of the Year last night. He beat club teammate Mohamed Salah and Riyad Mahrez of Algeria and Manchester City. Mane helped Senegal to the final of the Africa Cup of Nations and Liverpool to the European Champions League crown in 2019. And the way he's played throughout the 12 months means he's really stood out. Needless to say, fans in his home country, Senegal, were thrilled.
It's really a big moment of pride for us as Africans. It should motivate all of us to keep fighting, because you can only get better. It's exactly what he did.
We are so proud. He can only push further. He is such a great player and will become even better. We would love to see him winning the World Ballon d'Or next season. We want him to be like Messi and have so many Ballon d'Ors.
We are very happy with the win. The son of Bambali, the son of Senegal, he's really deserved it with his incredible performances. He really deserves this award. There's no doubt about that.
Nigeria's Asisat Oshoala, who helped the Super Falcons to the knockout stage of the World Cup and Barcelona to the European Champions League final, took the women's award. That means she's now got 4 titles to her name, which puts her level with her great compatriot Perpetua Nkwocha. Asisat has been speaking to the BBC today.
I feel very happy about it, really excited. I was actually tensed yesterday, but I mean, it is what it is. That was a very close one and an historical night for me as well, so I think it was normal for me to be that tensed, but I'm really happy, excited, proud of myself, and so I feel so good. I mean, 4 times. I mean, it's something to always remember.
Some other football news, and Armand Traore, who has left Cardiff City without playing a game in his second spell with the club. The 30-year-old Senegal international signed a 2-month deal in November when Neil Warnock was still manager. However, he did not feature under Warnock or his successor, Neil Harris, who was appointed on the 16th of November. Now, she may only be in her early teens, but Ena Bong has big dreams of making her name and leaving a legacy in the world of golf, as the BBC's Victoria Wahunda now reports.
She's been hitting balls since she caught the golf bug when she was 5 years old. At 13, Ena Bong Ena to her family and friends, says she loves the game and wants to take the world of golf by storm.
In this game, you compete against yourself and not other players, which is very exciting. Since you compete against yourself and other people, even though your caddy is caddying for you, it's still your mistake. You're the one playing, so you can't blame your caddy or anyone for the mistake you made.
Ena, who is currently ranked number 1 in Nigeria's junior golf circuit, came 10th in the 2019 Nigeria Ladies Golf Open Championship, beating 167 other golfers. Due to school responsibilities, she can only practice at weekends. And her parents are always by her side, at times her dad dabbling as her caddy. She might still be in school, but the 13-year-old has amassed a number of medals and trophies already. As for what the future holds for her?
I will study artificial intelligence and robotics. I will combine my studies with playing in the university golf team. In the next 10 years, with a degree in my hand, I will play as a professional golfer.
For now, she's working on delivering her country's first gold medal for golf at the 2022 Summer Youth Olympics in Dakar. Victoria Wahunda, BBC News.
Makes me wonder what I was doing when I was 14. Finally, South Africa's men's tennis players have beaten France 2-1 in their last Group A tie at the inaugural ATP Cup in Australia. Neither team can qualify for the quarterfinals, but Kevin Anderson, who's back playing after an injury layoff, can head to the Australian Open in good spirits after morale-boosting win over Benoit Paire. Can you remember what you were doing at 14?
Thanks for the sport, Peter. Now, there's good news for final year students at the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. They've all passed their exams. The school's executive director tweeted the news saying all 59 candidates got 100% passes. Now, the school was launched by a global TV star, Oprah Winfrey, after a discussion with the late South African President Nelson Mandela in the year 2000. Now, it was opened in 2007, and its inaugural classes of 72 girls graduated in 2011. How about that? Well, let's take a quick look at our top story and focus on Africa. The world's largest and fastest moving outbreak of measles has killed at least 6,000 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo in the last year. Now, that's more than twice the number of people killed by Ebola, which has attracted far more global attention. Don't forget, you can get in touch with me and the rest of the team on social media. I'm at Kenya. For now, thanks for your company.